Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's special Zoom share. Thank you again. Welcome, everyone. I'd like to thank you again, Mayor Gabay and Jonah Hari, for arranging tonight's this shiur, and tonight for Gilad for recording it for us. We are studying tonight Parashat Ki Titzeh in the middle of Chodesh Elul, Tafshin Pei Aleph, and I would like to dedicate the shiur Lilu Nishmat Rivka Bat China, also for my aunt Claudine Bat Chana Ruchama, תהיה נשמתם צרורה בצרור החיים. And I want to wish להבדיל חיים טובים ארוכים, הרפואה שלמה עבור גרביאל הנעמי בת לאה מלכה, אלישבע בת שבע בת רבקה, תקווה אוז'ני בת רוזט, and also one of my neighbors, אשר יהודה בן רחל, who is ill, is now in intensive care in hospital. Want to wish him a rafua shlema. The zchut of the shiur and the Limud Torah with all of us together, the chizuk that we'll get from tonight's shiur. I had a big chizuk from it.
And also there is a name here. And also there is a name in the room, Chaya Michal Bat Yehudit.
So please, if you want to add the name, just repeat it.
Chaya Michal Bat Yehudit.
Chaya Michal Bat Yehudit rafua shlema. And also more.
אורן שפרה בת אפרת.
אורן שפרה בת אפרת. כל נער יפן עליהם, רפואת הנפש ורפואת הגוף ורפואה קרובה לבוא. So I am very excited about tonight's parasha. So first opening, כי תצא למלחמה על אויביך, ונתנו השם אלוקיך בידיך ושבית שביו. Which in English means when you go out to war against your enemy and Hashem gives the enemies in your hands and you'll take back captives. That is the parasha, and that's the opening parasha. Literally, but I have to say, and this is all the Orach HaKadosh and all the parashim say in Mekubalim, they bring the Zohar. And the Zohar, in fact, this is really appropriate for Chodesh Elul. What is it talking about? Ki Tetzeh Milchama. What milchama are we talking about? This milchama is milchemet hayetzer, yetzara. We're all here, brothers, in the same war, in the same milchama. We're all fighting against our own Yetzirah, and that is Oivecha. He is the biggest Oyev. He is your biggest enemy. No one else is your enemy. Yetzirah. And Hashem gave us Barati Yetzirah, Barati Torah Tavlim. That is the way how we get out of Yetzirah, and that's what it means. Untano Hashem lokecha beyadecha. Hashem gave it in your hands to win your Yetzirah. If a person that feels is struggling with a certain thing, I feel like I'm working on the same thing every year. It comes to Chodesh Elul, and I look at myself and I analyze where I need to improve. And it seems like it's the same things, similar things last year and the year before. And how come I didn't change so much? So I'm the same Yetzirah in the same area all the time. But this is the Milchemet HaYetzer. It's ongoing. It's a lesson for life, and we're going to talk about it more in today's shiur. But the secret is, it is beyadecha. It is in your hand. That is Barati Yetzirah, Barati Torah Tavlim. And Shavita Shivyo, which means you'll take back captive, you'll take back what belongs to you, the Neshama, and bring it back closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So that is just as an opening. I just had to start off that. We'll see that's going to be relevant later on. But just as a few opening questions. This is a time of everyone's asking for forgiveness from each other, from friends. Does a person have to forgive? If someone comes to me, listen, I apologize, so do I have to be forgiving? It's a halachic question. What would you say, Mo? Somebody embarrassed your wife in front of your children, I don't know, in front of your family. Then go after to say, I'm sorry. You have to forgive him?
I think so. I think yes.
It's an obligation, yeah. You have to forgive everybody. Well, if he doesn't really mean it, if he's done it already before, he's done it twice, well, you always have to forgive him.
I think so, no? לכף זכות.
Okay, so listen, you're a very compassionate person, Mo. I'm going to call it over to you, but it depends on the sincerity of a person. You should always be able to be forgiven, to forgive others. Like we want to be forgiven, we should forgive others. But on the condition you see a person is genuine about it, and he is really serious, and the same way he apologizes, if he embarrasses you in front of everyone, and then, he says quietly, I apologize. No, you apologize in public. you embarrass me in public, apologize in public. But if a person is forgiving, he doesn't have to forgive. Not on everything you need to be forgiving. And in fact, if somebody doesn't forgive you, then you go back again. And in fact, the halakha says you go back 3 times and you bring a friend with you. You bring a few friends with you. Please forgive me, please forgive me. And if it's your rabbi, your teacher or your father, it says even 10 times, even 20 times, you go back and you ask for forgiveness. Even if a person is passed away, then, just excuse me, please. Yeah. Even if a person is passed away, then the Rambam brings it down. In Chot Shuvah, he needs to go with him, go to his kever and ask for forgiveness. I was once in kever of Rabbi Ovadia Yosef, and I just went there to pray. I was there and I saw somebody coming with a minyan and he was crying and he said, I want to ask for forgiveness that I spoke disrespectfully about the Rav. Now that is the halakha. And another story is somebody I know, he was engaged to be married and it was broken off the wedding. And they made nasty rumors about him, why they broke it off, right? They didn't just break it off, say, listen, we changed our mind, which is, that's legitimate. You have to get married if you don't, if this is not what you feel is right. But there's a way to do it. And they did it in a nasty way. And then they spread bad rumors about this boy as to why they broke it. And then afterwards, they saw how Mazal was going bad. They asked for forgiveness. And he didn't want to forgive. He says, listen, I'm still not married. Everyone believed all the lies that you said about me. And I'm finding it very difficult to find the shidduch. And he asked his rabbi, he says, no, you don't have to forgive. But after a few years, he said to him, listen, it's time. You move on, you forgive. I took all min hashamayim and accept it. And when the person does forgive others, then that is a big opening min hashamayim to be forgiving. Now, this is a little bit off topic, but the question is now, and this is the big question for tonight. We are in our Chodesh Elul. Okay, so let's say a person done some big averot. And now it comes to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hatanu lefanecha. Does Hashem need to be forgiving? Does Hashem need to forgive a person who comes and does selichot? Or does it depend? That's the big question. Gilad there.
Of course it depends.
Okay, what do you say depends on what?
So first of all, we know that the Ilchot Shuvah shel Rambam depends what he did, and it depends, which what's the source of Shuvah.
Depends on what does it depend on? He comes and says, Hashem, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but it depends for what, and it depends. So even if
which avera?
Yeah, of course, in which עבירה, יש עבירות שרק חס ושלום מיתה מכפרת, או יש עבירות שרק איסורים מכפרים.
Okay, but a person does teshuvah. Teshuvah. A person does teshuvah. Does Hashem need to be forgiving?
If it's sincere, according to the stages of teshuvah, at least according to the Rambam, the answer is yes, but it doesn't mean that he won't be punished for it. Yes.
Okay. Okay, very good, Gila. That's a good answer. We're going to speak more about that later on in this year. Another question is it good to give a child what he wants?
No.
No. Oh, look at that. Was a quick answer. Go on.
No,
Jay, do you want to explain?
You want them to appreciate it. I get it. You want them to appreciate it.
Appreciate what he's given. So if he says, Dad, can I have ice cream? Or just can I have another piece of cake, yeah? It's on Shabbat, you're giving out cake to everyone, and you really don't mind giving him another piece.
So then, yeah, I guess, look, I'm a new parent. I guess you would say, if you ask nicely, if you've eaten all your food, then magia lecha kinuach.
Okay, so that's just another thing to bear in mind. And another question, maybe this is my own addition, but what is the punishment for somebody not keeping Shabbat? Somebody driving on Shabbat.
Well, it's karet, but I don't understand.
Karet, and what's the, apart from karet, there's also a punishment of Bedin. Is karet as well?
Skila?
Yes, very good, Mo. Skila. Skila is the most...
of course, it's not Tzlofchad.
Yes, Skila is the most severe mita of Bedin. That means the worst thing Bedin can do to a person is Skila. And the question is, the person driving on Shabbat. Okay, maybe I'm asking this question, yeah? He's driving on Shabbat. It's not, what's the most terrible thing about that? That's the most severe sin. That is the only punishment of skila. And it occurred to me we can connect it with this week's parasha, but I want you to bear that in mind. Even a rotzeach, someone who's a murderer, okay, that's bad in everybody's books. The Beit Din don't give him skila. Skila, let me just explain what it means. Skila is when someone is stoned to death. They get thrown off a cliff by Beit Din, and then they all stone him until he dies. That's the worst death you can get by Beit Din. There's other different deaths. There's 4 different deaths. One of them is by hereg, saif, is a sword. That's clean cut. That's the way Beit Din can kill under certain terms and conditions. They have to be warned beforehand with 2 edim, and say them, listen, if you're going to do this, you'll be punished by death. There's a lot of different conditions, but the bottom line is that is the civil punishment according to the Beit Din. So why is that so severe? Okay, bearing that in mind, we're going to now start this week's parasha, and I'm basing tonight's shiur on Rabbi Reuven Exter, who was the Mashgiach in Brechfeld. I have this book with me, and tonight I'm going to share with you part of the shiur that he gives in the yeshiva. Okay, so now we're all being promoted to yeshiva in Israel, one of the top yeshivas he gives around, and quite a few yeshivas in Eretz Israel, in Yerushalayim. Okay, that was just the introduction to the shiur. Now, this week's parasha, Kiyeh le'ish ben sorer umoreh, which means when a person has a rebellious child, does not listen to his parents, and they try and rebuke him, but he's not listening to them. He says, they take him to the elders. He is a rebellious child, and Rashi explains, he just drinks wine freely, eats meat as much as he wants, very gluttonous. It says the pasuk, and he gets stoned to death. That is very severe punishment. All the people in the city go out and they all stone him, and he dies. Says the pasuk, you remove the evil from within you. They all listen and they all fear. Look what happened to this child that got killed to death. Now, says Rashi, we're going to ask a few series of questions on this episode, and I'm waiting for Gilad to ask his question.
Well, we know it never happened, or it happened only once, right?
Yeah, exactly. This never happened. It almost happened once, but it never actually happened, and definitely not to the stage of getting killed. So you actually introduced question number 4, which was the last question, but because you mentioned it first. The question 4, if it never happened, so why is it written in the Torah? Answer. Why is it written in Torah if it's never happened?
I can give you my answer, but look, the fact that it's written in the Torah means that parents know that they should better do their work,
very good.
Not wait for that age, because lo shomea lekol avimo when he's 13. Now he doesn't listen. You should have taught him to listen when he was younger. Now you try to beat him and yaser oto.
Okay, so very good. Yeah. So that really the obvious lesson is there's a lot to be learned from this week's parasha. This parasha specifically. Rashi says it never happened, and the reason why it's taught in the Torah is in order lidrosh oto ve'lekabel schar alav. We're supposed to study this episode, but there's something specific we're supposed to learn from this episode, this passage, right? That we need to learn and study. So there's a few different lessons about chinuch, raising children that we learn from here. Quite right. The question is, what is specifically this message that we're supposed to learn from this episode? Rashi says, "Uben sorer moreh neherag al shem sofo," which means he is killed because of the future of what he's going to do. Hegia Torah lesof da'ato. What's going to happen at the end? Sof shemachle mamon aviv. He's going to waste his father's money. He'll take his credit card and spend it. Umevakesh limudo, and he wants to fulfill his habit or his addiction. Ve'eno motzeh, and he can't find it. What does he do? עומד בפרשת דרכים ומנסתם את הבריות. He becomes a street thief, a gangster, a robber. אמר תורה ימות זכאי ועל ימות חייו. He needs to be died. This is why he's killed early and not rest of his life. What's the question, Gilad? First question?
I don't have. No.
No. Okay, so we spoke about this in previous years. And Gilad asked me about Ishmael. Remember Ishmael? I bring you the Gemara and it says in Rosh Hashanah. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak. On Rosh Hashanah, we stand before judgment. Okay, we're under 3 weeks away from Rosh Hashanah. Just 3 weeks away from Rosh Hashanah. A person is judged according to your situation at that time. When you stand before the king, he looks at you and he doesn't say, okay, listen, in the future, you're going to do Averot. Let's nail you now. Yeah, we'll give you a pre.
Yeah, but that's the midrash.
We'll pay you in advance.
Yes, of course.
No. So the question is, even if you're going to do Averot in the future, no. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows what the person's going to do. So if you're going to do evil and you're going to do Averot in advance, Hashem's going to pay you in advance for the Averot you do. That's not how we work. So why is this person, this Ben Sorer, why is he being punished, this rebellious child? Because in the future, he's going to grow up and he's going to end up robbing people and he's going to end up killing people. And he's a good boy now. Okay. So let him, he drinks his wine and eats his beer. Maybe we'll try and talk him out of it. And the same question is by Ishmael, the Melachim. Angels came to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and he says, why are you saving Ishmael?
But not exactly the same thing, right? Because Ben Sorer Moreh, he's already rebellion. He's already behaving in an acceptable way.
Absolutely.
The parents beat him, torture him, try to talk him out, punish him, and that doesn't work, right? It's not the same as Ishmael.
And Ishmael?
We don't know, but we don't know if he did anything. We know that he was mitzachek with Yitzchak. We don't know that different.
Yeah. So absolutely,
that's about it, right? But it's
so
not.
Yeah, you're right, Gilad. I'm just going to explain for everyone. The Midrash says that when Avraham sent away Hagar, so she was dehydrating under a tree with Ishmael, and Hashem sent them an angel to give them water and save Ishmael. And all the angels in Shemaim said, why are you saving Ishmael? He's going to cause a lot of troubles to the future, to Bnei Israel. All the terrorists, the attacks, what they're going to do to Am Israel. Why are you saving him? Let him die. And Hashem said to him, listen, Ba'asher hu sham, I'm judging him as he is now. Now he's a good boy, I'm saving him. In the future, maybe things will change. So why is there difference to this rebellious child? So quite right, there's a few different answers. Gilad, the last time he asked the question, this time he's given the answer. And the answer is quite right, there's a difference. Because here you see there's an opening that he's done already bad, and he's going on the right bad actions. The question is, what is the worst thing that he's done, this rebellious child? His parents tell him, listen, don't go drinking your wine, don't having all your food that you want, hold back, and he just carries on. I want what I want, give me what I want. So that still needs to be explained. Question number 3, or maybe, does God need to forgive? Does God have to forgive us? When we say, come to Slichot, we go to Slichot, we ask for forgiveness on Rosh Hashanah, Kippur. So Rabbi Netanel says there's different levels of doing teshuvah. And according to the level that person does teshuvah, he comes closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. However, he says every teshuvah has a forgiveness. That means when you come, lechol teshuvah timtza slicha. Which means if you repent and you do teshuvah, you will be forgiven. That is the halakha Rabbi Netanel says, and Rambam says as well. Even if he's done all his lifetime, he's done averot, he's done sins, on the day of his death, he comes and he does teshuvah, he will be forgiven.
What if he's broken Shabbat?
Everything, broken Shabbat, yeah. What if he does the worst things? He's killing little children. He's done the worst averot, all of them. But in the last day of his life, he does teshuvah, he comes sincerely. The day before Rosh Hashanah, he does forgiveness. He does, 1 second, I just missed the line. he will be forgiven even on the day of his death. He will be forgiven. V'shav kodem she'amut nislach lo. He's forgiven on every avira. Now the question is, in the next week's parasha, there's a pasuk we've seen. Yeah.
Why not on Mechirat Yosef, for example?
What's the question?
So the Mechirat Yosef was not forgiven. Shlosha v'arba, yes.
Oh, okay. So not yet forgiven. But yeah, I don't know. It depends on different teshuvah. I don't know. I don't have an answer for that question right now. But
Okay.
the question we're addressing now is the pasuk in next week's parasha. We're taking on what the Rambam and Rabbi Netanel says, that every person who comes to teshuvah, whatever level you ask, you do teshuvah, on that level you'll be forgiven. However, there is somebody that does not get any forgiveness. And that is written in next week's parasha. Somebody who listens and hears all the divrei Torah and the rebuke of Moshe Rabbeinu. And he says in his heart, it's okay, I'll be fine. I will do as I wish. I will satisfy my thirst and my hunger. I will do as I wish. Hashem will not want to forgive him. Question is, why not? If in the end he wants to do shuvah, why should God not forgive him? Why should Hashem not want to forgive him?
Yeah, but there is shogeg, but there is mezid, right? It's not really the same thing. And if it's
the question is, we're saying now, everyone who does teshuvah will get forgiven. So why is this person, he says in the beginning, he says, listen, I'll be fine. I'm not interested in doing teshuvah. I don't want to do teshuvah. Tonight we're going to speak about teshuvah. And you're going to really want to have a strong desire to do teshuvah. Everybody. You're going to see this. I'm going to say it will be so clear to you. The question is, why is there a person that Hashem would not want to do his teshuvah? Okay? And the first question is, what can we learn from this lesson? Should we have a quick summary of the questions? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So what type of forgiveness does God forgive? What type does he not forgive? Is a person judged as he is now, or is he judged for what he will do in the future? If he's what he is now, why is this rebellious child being killed? And what is it the way to learn from this parasha if it never even happened? And the final question is, why is the punishment that he's getting now skila? Why is he being stoned? In the future, what's the worst thing he's going to do? Steal people for their money. And if he comes to, he'll need to steal from somebody, and they'll stop him, he will be ready to kill. If he kills, what's the punishment for killing someone?
So is it skila? I'm not sure it's skila.
No, that's what he said in the beginning of the shiur. It's saif.
Sorry, yes.
You get killed by the sword. For murder, the punishment is by killing by sword. But for this ben sorer or moreh, which is only done is drinking wine, he's being rebellious to his parents. And kids are rebellious. So why does he get skila? Why does he get stoning?
Maybe because
much more severe.
He has hirhurei tshuva in the process of skila, because it's a process, you know.
That could be very interesting.
Are these punishments from the time of the Bet Mikdash, or are they for nowadays?
No, it's not for nowadays. No, we're talking about when there is a Sanhedrin and Bet Adin, then they have ability to kill off for certain avirot.
But nowadays it's converted into spiritual deaths.
Nowadays, yeah, that's what the Gemara said. Very good, Joe. The Gemara said nowadays there's no Bet Adin, there's mita b'dei shamayim. So the equivalent may be a car crash or other different forms of death that there is. Even in the times of the Gemara, when they could punish by death, it was really only as a threat. But technically, they would kill once in 100 years, that one person. And that's really how it would be.
The confirmation.
Sorry?
Is that it would have happened rarely because they need a lot of confirmation.
There is. They need the witnesses beforehand and afterwards, and also that they don't want to try and kill people. You see, they don't want people to die. It's just there needs to be as a threat in order to set people straight. Once it's possibility, that's enough.
But it's written, right? So it's not that if they actually decided to kill someone, do something wrong, right?
Yeah.
So it was just their approach. They took a certain line, but they could actually take a completely different line. It's actually, we're going to kill those that did certain averot because, that would basically send a message, right? That actually.
I'm not sure what you're asking, Gilad. I'm not sure. It was very.
So it was just their interpretation of what it's written in the Torah, right? But they could.
No, it's not interpretation. The Torah says, "Mot yumat." Well, how do we do that? We bring two edim, two witnesses. Say, listen, don't do chilul Shabbat. Don't get into the car. Don't light the fire. We're going to go to Beit Din and report you. And in front of two witnesses, he gets warned and he says, do you know it's Shabbat today? He said, I know. You know we're going to kill you? He says, I know. They said, why don't you stop? He said, I don't care. And he says all of that. And then he does it. And then afterward, it's him. And then they go to Beit Din. And that's the time we can kill him. That is very rare. That is not going to be. It's not like somebody's quiet. No, he sees one person, sees him. No, you have to have.
But that was the case with the
Tzlafchad.
Not Tzlafchad. That was the case with Tzlafchad. But Tzlafchad, they could koshesh him, and the order was to kill him, right?
Yes, yeah.
That was the process with him. So it was before, and he said that he doesn't care and so on.
Absolutely. All the process. That's all the born in Sechet Sanhedrin. It's very clearly put down. And that's why it's very, very rare. It was very rare. But just the fact that you could warn somebody about that would prevent a lot of Chilul Shabbat. And we're going to speak about that as well. This Chilul Shabbat is just my addition to this shiur. But I want to now just bring to the main focus of the point. What is the message we're supposed to learn from this rebellious child episode that never happened? So says Rabbi Netanel, and here we're going to go into the fundamental of Judaism. Just a few simple principles. When we are created with intelligence. But Boreh gave us v'nafach ba'apav ruach elokim, which means we're given the brains, right? What are we given brains for? To build a business. What are we given for? We build countries, we build empires, building families, we build a house. But what is our brains for? What is the sechel given to us? Absolutely, is to recognize our creator. You're supposed to see God in everything. In everything, in all of creation, and everything that happens to you in life. You're supposed to study it as an episode. Go to sleep tonight and think, what happened to me today? What happened to me in the morning? What happened to me in the afternoon? What was God's message to me? Okay? Says Rabbi Netanel, why is a person given a body? We have a mind and a body that put it together. And here, this is really the opening. It says, a person is, I'd say, yachas, his relationship with his body. What is a person's relationship with his body? He says it needs to be like somebody who's riding on a horse. Now, what does that mean? When I mean body, I mean body. I mean the body that is there to serve you. You are not there to serve your body. Okay? And let me just explain a little bit what I mean by that. Your body has desires, okay? The body, if we take it on a very simple level, your body likes enjoyment, okay? It likes alcohol, it likes smoking, it likes fatty foods, unhealthy foods, dangerous foods. And you need to be a master over your body. If you do that, you will kill your body. That's clear, right? But if you say, and your body likes to be lazy and lounge around and sleep for a long time and not move around, and everything is on remote control. And even if I don't need to close the trunk of my car and I can have a button to do that for me, I'm going to do that as well, all right? That is the body. Now, as somebody who has the brains, he says, listen, I'm going to look after my body and I'm not going to serve my body. My body needs to serve me. I will feed my body the fuel that it needs to be healthy. I will do the daily exercise I need to keep myself in shape, that my body will serve me. Does that make sense to everyone? That makes sense, right?
Yes, it makes sense.
Okay, so now that's on a very simple level. Now, if we take a higher level, what I mean, that person needs to be in charge of his body and that his body serves him, not he serves his body. It's just like the desire of your body can kill your body. The desire of the body can kill your neshama as well. And when your body goes after things which are not kosher and for the pleasure of them, the ta'ava of eating things which are not kosher, or doing things which is not allowed, or doing things on Shabbat, or anything which is which is damaging to the soul, then you're ruining yourself. He says your approach to your body means you're going to be riding the horse, not the horse is riding you. All right, that your body is like your horse. You're supposed to be in control. Now, when you take that into focus, what is this rebellious child? Now, the fact that he's going against his parents, that's just one avera. Okay, and I think most of us, if we can be honest, we don't always listen to our parents and everything that they did. Okay, we will have that some point of rebelliousness. As we grow older, we regret it more, but I always have that. So what's this chutzpah of this child that he deserves the death? It's not to do with disrespecting his parents. It's got to do with going after for all his pleasures without any pause. That is his downfall. And what this is the Rambam, and let me explain it with I'm going to go a different direction. Okay?
It's like a behema. It's like a human being, but he's like a behema. He's already the nefesh behemet. He's like
he just going for what he is. Okay, now this is something we all need to understand. But I want to just bring to perspective. And first about, let's say, children, okay? I was once asked by somebody who's not religious. He said, tell me, a religious couple, they get engaged, they're getting married. They're very excited, they're very happy with each other. Okay, I'm talking about the little religious. He said, tell me, they don't touch each other? He said, no. He said, I can't believe it. How can it be they don't touch each other? He says, well, they wait, it's difficult. Okay, they wait a few months until they get married, and then they're together. I guess how can it be? I can't believe it. Young people, they have the desire, they're fresh, and they're getting married, I know they're together. So there's halakha, you're not allowed to be alone. That helps a lot. But where does that restraint come from? Okay. And I remember when I was engaged, it's difficult. But where does that come from? Where does that power? He said, listen, when a child, he comes, and he's a little boy, he said, I want to have a chocolate. He said, no, you can't have a chocolate. You're meaty. You have to wait. He said, you give your children whatever they want straight away. Where are they going to have restraint from? That is what you give your children. When you give your child the chocolate, you give him enjoyment for a minute. But when you don't give him the chocolate, then what you're giving him is the ability to withhold his own desires, to restrain and hold back.
But you're forcing him to hold his
Okay,
desires.
so you're making a good point, Joe, okay? But when you explain this is what we all do, and this is how we do it, you're flexing that muscle. So even when you force someone to flex a muscle, he flexes it, okay? He flexes that muscle gets built. You give him a drink, said, wait, make a bracha. So you give him that few seconds, it's a 3 second until he says, but he holds back, okay? That is a muscle that he's flexing. That's how you're building your child. I remember I once went to a lesson. He said, even when you want to give your child something, like Joe said, you can have a piece of cake. But he says, can I go to my friend's house? Now, let's say you have nothing against him going to his friend. And in fact, you maybe even prefer that he goes to his friend, But he said, don't say yes straight away. Say, think about it. You want to go to your friend? Just pause, make him think. He's not sure he's going to get it. He's not going to get it. And then said, yeah, okay, fine, you can go. So first thing, like Joe said, he'll appreciate it more. That he doesn't say yes always straight away for everything. And also that pause or restraint is a flexing of the muscle that he's going to build. That will help him always in his future life. And this is what this child is missing. This rebellious child, he just goes for the food. He says even the meat that he eats, he doesn't even wait till it's fully cooked. He gives me now. He drinks wine without boundary till his drunkenness. And this is talking about a 12-year-old boy. So someone who doesn't have that restraint for his desires, for his body, he has no end and he has no hope for his future. This is the Rambam. When we do Hilchot Teshuvah, and this is the study of Teshuvah nowadays, what we're doing Teshuvah for. So we're not only doing Teshuvah for Shabbat. What I said, we're all keeping Shabbat, Baruch Hashem, we're all on Tefillin, we're good Jews, we come to Shiur Torah. Okay, but that's not what Teshuvah is about. Teshuvah is not only about Zinut gezel and gneva, not about just stealing or being dishonest in business or in immoral relationships. אלא כשם שצריך אדם לשוב מאלו, צריך לחפש בדעות רעות שיש לו ולשוב מן הכעס. We have to do tshuva for getting angry, for being jealous, for being making mockery, chasing money, chasing כבוד, רדיפת המאכלות. רדיפת המאכלות is chasing food. Even kosher food. We're chasing food. All of these things we need to do teshuvah for. And this is, he says in some ways, it's even more difficult. But says the pasuk, and this is very interesting also, Yazov Rasha Darko, your ways. The Rasha has to change his ways. His ways can mean the ways that he acts. In his jealousy, is just pity, not only in his actions. I wanted to say something, I forgot it. Okay, we're going to move on. We say in Tfilat Shmona Esrei every day, Baruch Ata Hashem, Harotze B'tshuva. Can we have a translation, please, for Harotze B'tshuva?
I want
tshuva. Hashem wants teshuvah. That is exactly the translation. Now, what does it mean he wants tshuva? And this is really mind-opening for me. This is when I saw this today. Sorry?
It's mind.
Opening. This opened my mind for me.
Sorry, I missed that.
Because I've been praying every day, 3 times a day, for as long as I can remember. Yeah? Okay, let's say a good part of 30 years, right? And I say this every day, and you don't even realize what do you mean, Harotze B'tshuva. What does it mean Hashem wants teshuvah? Okay, so the first time is a famous pasuk in Navi Yechezkel. God says, Neum Hashem Elokim v'mechpotz b'mot harasha. I don't want the evil person to die. No. Kim b'shuv rasha midarko. I want him to do teshuvah from his evil ways. V'chaya, and he should live. Shuvu shuvu midarkechem. Come back from your evil ways. Haraim v'lama tamutu bet Yisrael. Why should you die? Now there's a famous pasuk. Everyone's heard that before, right? Hashem doesn't want anyone to die. Hashem wants us to do teshuvah. Now, how far does that go? And this is a Sefer Tomer Devorah, written by Rabbi Moshe Cordovero. Adam עושה עבירה, הוא בורא מלאך המשחית. Why is Gilad funny? Why is funny?
No.
You're enjoying the shiur.
Yeah, I know the. Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
You know the Tomer Devorah. He's familiar with it. Okay, so for me, this was an opener. He says, when you do an avera, okay, you go, let's just take for example, okay, you've seen too many commercials for the McDonald's, you decided, okay, I'm going to go for it. Okay, you fell, you went for the McDonald's, okay. Afterwards, it was disgusting, you spat out and you were sick and you threw up, okay. But you enjoyed it. Now, at the time, when a person does that, not you, none of you, chas v'shalom, you're all tzaddikim, but if someone, you fell and did some avera, he said that avira, he creates an angel, malach hamashchit. Okay, can that make sense? You did. So, yeah. When a person does an avira, he gets angry and shouts at somebody, another Jewish person. That anger or that release of energy or going after his desire creates a bad angel. Okay, make a peg. Yeah. Mashchit. Now that mashchit comes and he needs to be fed. He said, I've just been created. Now, how do I carry on? I need to be charged. I need to be fed. Who's going to feed me? Okay, just listen to this. I'm reading from the book. I'm going to read it in English, but obviously the text is in original. There's Mishnah in Pirkei Avot. Haover avera achat kone lo kategorיה אחד.
And that's avera goreret avera.
Also, but here we're just specifically talking about the creation that comes out of the action. Now, first of all, you have to appreciate how important are your actions. Just like when you do a mitzvah, you join the shiur, okay, every minute, every second of learning Torah together, you've created a good malach angel. But when you're doing something bad, you're creating bad angels. You have the power to create angels, good and bad. Now let's talk about the bad ones. One bad angel, and category is a prosecuting angel against you. אותו קטגור עומד לפני הקדוש ברוך הוא, and he said, listen, I was created by this person. And nobody in this world can live, no creature, no creation, without the input of Shifra Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So this angel, he says, how am I going to survive? How am I going to be, איך אני מתקיים? הדין נותן שאומר הקדוש ברוך הוא, אין לי זן אדם משחיתו, I'm not gonna keep you alive. Go to whoever created you. לך אצל מי שעשה והתפרנס ממנו. So what should have happened then is that the angel that this person created go back to the person who created him and destroy the person and take away his soul, or kill him, or do whatever he needs to do in order to, or punish him until this prosecuting angel will be destroyed. Now says it Tomer Devorah. Okay, so does it make sense? A person's done an avera, he's created an angel, the angel needs to survive. How is he surviving? He should go back to the person who created him, take away his soul, to keep his existence. Says HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu second. He says, no, I don't want you to kill the person that created you. You were created by a Jew. This Jew, I need him alive. Says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Ela sovel, noseh vesovel avon. He said, like I nizan mefanes et kol haolam, like I sustain the whole world, I will sustain this evil angel which was created from an avera. Zanu mefanes mashchit hazeh, ad shiyu echad mishlosha dvarim. Then one of three things can happen. Either the Jew does teshuvah, and then he destroys the evil angel that he created, or the HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives him punishment, Yisurim and Mita, on the Jew. He suffers for that. Or he's going to go to Gehenom and until he pays back his Yipara Chovo. Does that make sense to now?
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe, I need you to nod for me. This is an important part of this show.
Yeah.
Okay. Now here's the beauty. So then Tomer Devorah. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he could say, listen, you created this bad angel, you deal with him. He'll come to you, he'll take your soul, he'll destroy you until he eats you up alive. And Hashem says, no, I don't want any Jew to die. I want every Jew to do teshuvah. He said, this is what I want. He said, I'm willing to sustain this evil angel, this prosecuting angel. I'm willing to keep him alive so that it doesn't destroy you, to give you an extra opportunity to come back and do teshuvah. Why would God want it? That means Harotzeh b'teshuvah. Hashem wants every person to teshuvah, every Jew. So how can we not want to do teshuvah? We're doing averot against HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We're creating evil angels that come and would want to destroy us. Hashem says, no, don't destroy the Jew. I will feed you. I'll give you what you need. Leave the Jew alone. And that's going to continue until we do teshuvah and destroy that evil angel. Or until we have to suffer and with pain, Yisurim, or Mita, or go to hell. That is what we learn in the Tomer Devorah. So that itself should give us enough. There for me, it was a big Torah to do teshuvah, if this is what Hashem's waiting for. But then the question is, why would Hashem not want to go? What is it katuv? Lo yislach lo. We said in the pasuk, if he wants everyone to do teshuvah, that means he wants everyone apart from one person. Who is the one person? HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not interested in teshuvah. Lo yaveh Hashem yislach lo. He doesn't want to forgive him, doesn't even want his teshuvah. Who is that? This is somebody who says, B'shalom yeh libi ki b'shirut libi alech. I'll be fine. It's okay. I don't care. If you don't care, then as Hashem says, I don't want to be. Lo yislach lo. If you don't want to take care of your own body, take care of yourself. You want to go after your own desires. It says, Hashem said, I can't do anything for you. And this is the grave sin of somebody who does this rebellious child. This is what we need to learn from. The worst thing that we can do is we can say, I don't care. We can say it's hard, it's difficult. I will try, I'll do a little bit. I'll slowly. One day I'll get there. You know, I'm not ready for it now, but I want to do it. All those are fine. But to say I don't care, that is the one thing that is the one. When this little boy or 12-year-old boy says to his parents, I want it, I'll give it to me now, okay? There is the punishment. And that's what we're going to train for now. And this is the stupidity of somebody who doesn't know, doesn't take into account of the future. We say, Eizu Chacham.
Who's clever?
Eizu Chacham haroeh et hanolad. That means you see, we're born here for a reason. We came here, we need to choose life. We have to realize this is what we're here for. We're here to be in control of our bodies, not take our body in the body's desires, be in charge of us. Shlomo HaMelech says, Lech el hanemala atzel. Go to the ant. Atzel, a lazy person. Re'eh deracheha, see its actions, see its ways, derachim. V'chacham. What does it mean, v'chacham? And be wise. Okay? Now, why does Shlomo HaMelech tell us, lazy person, go to the ant and be wise? Should say, Lech el hanemala. Don't be lazy. Start being diligent. Start moving. What do you mean stop being clever? What's it got to do with being clever? What's it got to do with being clever? Joe, speak up, please.
Well, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, just near your mic. Yeah.
Ants are a good example of how to be in, like, they work in a team.
Very good. They also work in a team. They also they won't touch anything that is being collected by someone else. They won't touch it. But also they work very hard, and it says the Gemara that the ant stores way more than it needs for its lifetime. Does anyone know how long an ant lives for? If it will not be sprayed by a human, how long will it live for? 6 months. That's what it says. I think it says 6 months. Yeah. Maybe it depends on the species. It says the Gemara that the Nemala species only lives for 6 months. And the only food that it needs is chita v'chetzi, which means 1 grain and 1.5 grains of wheat for that whole 6-month period, which is going to be alive for. Yet it stores way more than that. 300 kor, which is an enormous amount. There would live. Why does it do that? Says Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, because, the Gemara says, maybe I'll live for a long time and I'll have food ready for me. So the Amala, she works the whole time just collecting food. So we're supposed to learn from that and realize she's thinking about the future. She's thinking about afterwards. Now is what we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be chacham and learn. Don't be lazy. Now it's not a time for relaxing. We're here. There's of Hashem 120 years. Let's make the maximum of our life. Let's do the really important things. We'll decide what is important in life to do that. That is Chodesh Elul. Nechapsa darkenu v'nachkora. Let's look at our lives and our ways. What are we doing with our life? Daily life, weekly life. What? Shabbat, how are we setting up our family? How are we raising our children? That's what we need to be thinking about. And thinking about the future for that. How much are we letting our bodies be in control of us? How much are we in control of our bodies? Of our bodily desires? And a person shouldn't live for the present. A person should think about his future. And when I'm talking about physical desires, it's the pleasurable now, but it's the thinking about for tomorrow. A person knows, listen, I can stay up late and watch movies, and then I'll be tired at work tomorrow, and I won't get anything done. But if I get sleep early, and I wake up early, and I know, so I'm thinking about tomorrow. So that's on the short term, thinking about tomorrow, or thinking about next week, or thinking about next year, or in 5 years' time, or 10 years' time. But to think about the future of the lifetime that we're here in Mesilat Yesharim, we're just passing by. It's a through journey. And I would just like to end off with Gaon Vilna, the Gra. It said, this part of the shiur, Yetzer Hara masito le'olam hazeh. Your Yetzer Hara takes you away from this world. But next world, it testifies you. That means he says, listen, I went against this Jew with all my force and he beat me. You will get that reward. And how do you beat your Yetzer Hara? Through the Torah. When we study the shiur, we study Torah, we're building that muscle to stand the Yetzer Hara. And we need a lot. They said we need a lot of help, especially in our generation where it's full. We're here in a world where the physical desires is thrown at us all the time, especially in our generations. Everywhere we're bombarded. But this is just to give us an opportunity. To give us an opportunity every second. That's why we're attacked every second. And another chidush for me today was the Gara. We said a person does a certain ishtadlut, make an effort for a certain ta'ava. What a person achieves and accomplishes by doing ishtadlut and ta'ava, something bad, he said, which means someone who goes honestly, without trying to work hard for this ta'ava, he gets it. And then he says, כל מה שכבוד, כל שהבורח ממנו רודף אחריו, כן הוא בכל התאוות. And I didn't know this. This was a chidush for me. And let me explain what he's saying. He said somebody who wants respect, kavod. So he was looking to be respected. Kavod will run away from him. It says, and the opposite is true. Somebody who goes away from kavod, he stays humble, doesn't make a big scene. I don't think he'll be very well respected by everybody. He said the same thing is with ta'ava. Someone who goes for the ta'ava, maximum enjoyment. I want to enjoy my food and put, all the sauces and extra thing, I want to the maximum. Or I want to enjoy the pleasure to the maximum. He said he's not going to enjoy pleasure. He's not going to have a pleasurable life. He'll fly and he'll go so far to get the special thing to enjoy it. He won't enjoy it. But the opposite, someone who focuses in life not on the ta'ava, he will enjoy life. He will really enjoy life. Yeah? Maybe I'll give a small analogy. I don't know if you can appreciate this, but somebody who likes sugar, he puts all the sugar in all his drinks, to have everything sweet. Wants it really sweet. Yes, it's sweet. So what happens? He gets used to sweet. He doesn't even enjoy things that are sweet. In fact, he gets a beautiful fruit, and he won't enjoy the fruit because it won't be sweet for him. But someone who's trained not to have sugar, then everything is sweet for him, and he will enjoy it. Everything is sweet for him, and even though he's not used to having the sugar, but every fruit is another sweet, it's another enjoyment for him, and he'll be able to enjoy it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to train myself to do that.
Yeah. No, listen, if someone gets used to not having sugar, everything, every fruit will be an
too much sweet.
Yeah. No, it's legal. It's kosher to have sugar. I'm just giving it as an analogy. Amar Bi Yochanan, says the Gemara in Sukkah, Ever katan yesh lo la'adam. As a person has a small organ, that is his reproductive organ, that is what pushes a man for his masculine drive. Marivo savea. If you keep it hungry, then you'll be full. And if you will be masbio, ra'ev, which means if you always try it and give it what he wants, they will always be hungry. Why give me a face, Gilad? Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
What I'm talking about? That means a person has a physical drive, physical arousing. And if he always tries to fulfill that, then he'll always be hungry for more. But if a person subdues that, then you'll see it won't bother him. He'll be satisfied. He will have it and he'll be enjoying what he needs. And this is what the Gaon of Vilna is telling us. So if we go back to answer the questions what we asked in the beginning, we said this is why he's getting skila. Because if he's not stopping himself on the basic fundamentals of overeating or indulging, he will have no boundaries. He'll be over all of the averot, not only just killing, but all the averot which will come through the skila as well. And when Hashem wants forgiveness, he wants forgiveness from the people who actually care. Someone who doesn't care, he doesn't want forgiveness. And Hashem will forgive somebody who is genuine. And that we asked is, Ba'asher Husham, he only judges a person now, because if now he doesn't care, then also in the future he won't care. And this is what we have to think about when doing teshuvah now. We'll end the story here. Maybe I'll just say a few short stories about the. Okay, we'll stop here. Maybe we'll continue next week. Yeah?
Yeah.
How long is the recording going on for, Gilad?
It's probably
Gilad?
close to an hour, 55 minutes.
Okay, so maybe we'll just do another short story, 3 minute story. Just to end off with a story, Sipurei Tzadikim. There was one, his famous tzaddik that he lived there. He became famous at the end of his life. He was one of the tzaddikim nistarim, which means hidden tzaddik. Yeah, he's one of the Lamed Vav tzaddikim of the generation. He was passed away 2 years ago. His name was Rabbi Chaim HaKohen, who is known as, nicknamed as the Chalban. Okay, 1 second. Ria? Is that up? Okay. And I heard this story today from one of his students. He said he came to him one time with a certain problem that he had, and he was talking to him about his problem and how much his pain did for him. And he said this tzaddik, the Chalban, he sat down and he cried with him. And he said that he told all his troubles to many, rabbis or Talmidei Chachamim, and everyone said, "Listen, I feel bad for you. It's terrible what you're going through." But he was the only person who he sat down, sobbing and crying with me, that he actually felt my pain of what I was going through. And he said, "I've never seen that. To care for somebody, for another Jew, and to cry with him." And when they finished crying, he said, "The tears that we cried together," he said, "You'll have a Yeshua. Now I promise you, you're going to be saved in this area." He didn't say what it was, but that was the story about him. And he was a big tzaddik. And he says one time they were outside a synagogue, in the synagogue on Shabbat, and there was a Jew outside and he was smoking, very arrogantly, disrespectfully smoking on Shabbat outside the synagogue. So he was an elderly man. Comes up to him and said, "Listen, excuse me, young man. We're in a synagogue, we're Shabbat Shalom. It's not appropriate to be smoking outside here. You want to go somewhere else." And he was like, the way he described him is like a big thug. That's how he was. He was big and he was young, he was arrogant and chutzpah. And he just blew smoke in his face and he gave him a slap. And Reb Chaim just walked away and went back inside. And he said that when his hand became meshutak, paralyzed. His hand became paralyzed, and he called Magen David Dadoun. And they came on Shabbat, and they said, "What happened?" He said, "I don't know. I gave an old man a smack, and I can't move my hand." And they went inside to look, to the synagogue, who's the old man, and Rav Chaim Surman, he just walked away, didn't want to get another one. And they came to him and they said, "Listen, that he's paralyzed because of you." He was big tzaddik. And he said, I promise you that the second I received that slap, I forgive him. I was mochel b'lev shalem because I knew min hashamayim I deserved it. I didn't say anything, I just walked away. I promise you I was mochel." And he says that a week later, the guy died. The guy gave a slap, even though he was forgiven. And you see that with the tzaddikim, even when they forgive, but in Shamayim, he wasn't forgiven in Shamayim for what he did. How can you give such embarrassment to such a tzaddik? And I think that's the lesson for us. We have to be careful. Also, 2 lessons. First of all, be forgiving when we get slaps, and we get slaps from whoever we get slaps from. That is min hashamayim. We need to forgive others, but also be careful when we talk about tzaddikim. Obviously, none of us would ever slap a tzaddik, but if we say lashon hara about Talmid Chacham, that's makeh re'eu b'seder. That's l'chut lashon hara. And we're in the final story. He was once in a car and he was driving. I don't know what he did in his driving, or he overtook somebody, but he made someone angry with his chutzpah and he got stopped. He told him to pull down your window. Right? So he opened his window and the guy spat in his face. He spat in his face. That is very degrading. I don't know if you've ever experienced being spat at. But that's very degrading. Yeah, it's not that it hurts like a slap. It's very mashpil. And he said that Reb Chaim, he was so happy that day that he had that bizyonot. He said, you don't know how much Yisurim is mechaper, being degraded, being mushpal. Somebody's mevazeh you. He said, that is a gift. And he said the whole day he was happy. It was like for him a Yom Tov. He didn't even want to do tachanun on that day. And this is a great lesson from tzaddikim. This guy was at the Baal Ruach HaKodesh and he did amazing things. But the three stories that we can learn from is one is to identify with the troubles of every Jew, to love everyone. Yeah, sit down. He cried with him. He cared for him, and that was the Yeshua. We're all on Israel. We're all connected. We have to care for each other. The second lesson is that to respect all the tzaddikim and not even to talk about lashon hara. Is makera ehu baseter. That's giving him a slap. And to forgive, like we said, everything is min hashamayim. When we get slapped, we forgive others. And if we are embarrassed or we are degraded and somebody vazeh otanu, we forgive. That should be a Yom Tov, a day for Yom Tov for us. Okay, we're going to stop here for tonight. I hope you enjoyed this year. I want to thank you for